Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back your lovely faces to a brand new video here on the channel. Well, today we're going to take a little look at something which I saw online the other day, and I was like, you know what, I want to react to this. And, you know, we've covered Rachel Zegler on this channel and the Snow White debacle and everything, and literally how she brought her personal politics and everything else into it. And we also went on, obviously, that Disney should never have even remade Snow White in the first place. You know, we had the whole Peter Dinklage thing. We also had other people, little people, excuse me, who've been talking about it and saying Peter Dinklage has lost them thousands and thousands of dollars because they can't get paid. But then when you have the main star who is, at the time, when was Snow White made? You know, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, something like that, where she would have been like, what, 20, 21? No one seemed to talk to her and tell her what she needed to do. And to be honest with you, I haven't seen the film, but we have seen a lot of things where everyone is just like, yeah, the entire film is rubbish. She's bad in it. The writing's bad. Everything is just literally a catastrophe. So I saw this and I was like, you know what? Let's have a little look-see, because as you can see, I'm just, whoa, right there. As you can see, remember Rachel Zegler. Her life is ruined now. I thought we'd give it a look and, well, we'll talk about it.
Snow White was supposed to be her career's biggest movie, but was so brutally criticized, it instead became the one that destroyed her life.
Pretty much I can't post a picture of myself on Twitter without a bunch of people telling me how ugly I am.
She's not ugly.
Simultaneously wishing people would stop sending me death threats.
No one deserves
Or perhaps it was all part of the plan, because decades ago, Walt Disney himself said Snow White should never be remade, but they went ahead.
When did Walt Disney say that? Because obviously he knew back then that they're going to try and remake them. Wow. See, this is why he was a visionary of you know, Disney World, the theme parks, the studios, the movies, the cartoons, everything. Interesting.
Anyway, and by the time the trailer dropped, people hated it already. If I saw this movie on a plane, I would still walk out. Was it that hard to find someone who actually looks like Snow White? This comment made a good point. I just find it funny that her name is Snow White and she's not white. It just defeats the purpose. Petitions to cancel the remake started immediately, quickly snowballing into over 2.2 million dislikes, leading people to wonder why Disney wasn't canceling the movie or making some changes. Well, they did make changes. For starters, they swapped out real dwarf actors for CGI, which looked hideous. Instead of the beloved original characters, we got creepy, soulless abominations that looked like they crawled out of a failed video game.
You know what, before we carry on with it, if they wanted to make something like that, you know, have the characters look like how they did and everything else, and instead of using CG, imagine if they made this like how they made Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Or even Chip and Dale, the latest film from that, because that was amazing. Chip and Dale, the brand new movie that came out like a year or two ago, that was awesome. They could have done something like that, but for some unknown reason, they just decided to throw money at something, completely ruin it. They hired someone who literally, she just couldn't keep quiet about bringing her personal politics into it, and basically saying, "Look at me, I am the biggest thing going." And there was just a lot of people involved who made this bomb. Obviously, she did get the flack for it because, well, she's front and center. She is Snow White. The film is called Snow White. And obviously, things as she said, you know, we're not having a prince because, again, that's basically a stalker. The old film was made all the way back in 1937. I never watched it. I never did this. I never liked it. It scared me, blah, 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 and all this other BS, which is a huge PR nightmare. And, you know, we even had the story from the producer's son who said he had to fly across America, had to leave his family on a holiday to go and tell her, leave your personal beliefs and your politics out of promotion. But, you know, nothing really happened like that. Because, by the looks of things, she just didn't care.
And strangely, in a live-action remake, even the trees were CGI, which was an atrocious waste of money as well. To make matters worse, they removed these iconic tracks from the original, one of which being Someday My Prince Will Come, because apparently Snow White dreaming of love makes her too dependent, which only makes sense considering there's no prince either, just a bandit named Jonathan, because the writers intentionally didn't want a prince saving Snow White.
By making him a thief and a lowlife, rather than an authoritative figure of any kind. It's as if the idea of a balanced relationship is offensive to them.
As mentioned, it felt more like a political statement than a kid's movie, and in case it isn't obvious, it was a garbage cash grab. The ending scenes felt like a Diddy party, and no surprise, people absolutely hated it. But there was one thing they hated even more: Snow White herself. Why? Well, arrogance, that's why. Back in 2020, Rachel Zegler called Jeremy Renner a racist, sexist, transphobic garbage monster based on irrelevant allegations that were proven to be false.
So his ex-wife included claims of all of this. However, no criminal charges have been filed against him, and the allegations have not been definitively proven in a court of law. So he's denied the accusations, and legal proceedings so far have not resulted in any findings supporting the claims. And this was all the way back in 2019. So was he stepped out? Literally, it's like, what's going on? There's nothing in it. Accusations as ex-wife. At the time, he debunked the claims, providing legal documents showing he was tested for 3 months, all of which came back negative. Documents also claimed that he was requesting Sunny's time with their daughter to be reduced so she could overcome her overwhelming obsession with demonizing Renner. Representative from also stated the well-being of his daughter. So, what the hell is going on? Yeah, if he's still in the MCU, nothing happened then. It was all... Oh my god.
And when the user told her to learn the facts before running her mouth, she arrogantly replied, "Better catch my mouth, cause she running." She never should have been cast, but this will be her last movie, judging by her comments.
I mean,
wow.
You know, the original
I hate this comment.
And very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story. With a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird.
I hate
After
that.
calling the prince a stalker, she said this.
It's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White. She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
Now, in the beginning, her statements weren't that outrageous, although there was one massive issue. She couldn't keep her mouth shut.
I was scared of the original cartoon. I think I watched it once and then I never picked it up again. Like, I'm being so serious. I watched it once, never revisited Snow White again.
Zegler gives I deserve this role more than anyone, and the fact that she...
Who thought that was a good idea to actually put that bit of interview out? Because that's absolutely terrible. If you want to hire someone for a project like this, which... You know, say it came out in 1937. We're now in 2025. Literally, billions of people have watched the original Snow White. Why didn't you get someone who loves the character, who loves the story? With her saying, I never watched it again, I don't like it, it scared me, it did this, it did that. Why would you hire someone like that? Why don't you hire someone who loves the franchise or the characters or whatever? Thinking of that, you know, when you've had certain people who have brought characters to life on the screen, we got Tom Cruise, Mission Impossible. He loved the franchise, he's made it better. Henry Cavill with The Witcher. He brought that to life so much. He was involved with the writers, with the production. He's like, oh, we can do this, we can do that. And then, what did they do? Oh, we're moving away from the books and the stories. And he's like, well, we can't do that because that's not going to be the character. So they got rid of him. They hired people who don't like the show. And well, they haven't watched the show, don't like the characters. You also had that with Star Wars. You've got Carl Urban, Dredd. Why don't you take your mask off? Judge Dredd doesn't take his mask off. You know, there's so many things like that. You need to get someone who loves the franchise, the characters, the worlds. That's what you need to do. Because you know you are going to get every single bit out of that person that is going to be good if they love it. That's how you're meant to be doing something.
she has zero good to say about the original is disgusting narcissist, which wasn't wrong. For example, she seemed oddly excited saying her co-star's scenes could get cut.
Have a different approach.
Why would you say
what
that?
I'm sure a lot of people will assume is a love story just because like we cast a guy in the movie. Right. Andrew Burnap, great dude. Yeah. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby.
Which is funny, considering she acts like she's making the movie herself. But
Literally,
ironically, she became the main reason people didn't want to watch it. And she eventually explained why. After Donald Trump won the election, Rachel posted this story, basically calling him full of hate. But at the end, she said, may Trump supporters, voters, and Trump himself never know peace.
Alienating
being
most
completely
of the world.
opposite to the message she always preached. Clearly, she was a hypocrite as well, but Disney made her apologize and hired a social media guru to review every post until the movie's release.
We covered this, yeah.
Yet the guru clearly did a terrible job because when the trailer was released, Rachel thanked the viewers for the views, but also added, always remember Free Palestine. Now, this wasn't a huge deal, but her co-star was Israeli and supported Israel. Therefore, the tension between them was at its peak.
Straight away, your co-star, the person you're going to be doing a lot of interviews with, a lot of press, a lot of promo talk and everything else, you have literally basically said to her, I hope she dies. That's basically it. Because if you're saying, if you're supporting Palestine, you're not supporting them, you want it all to be over, get rid of them or whatever. That just seems to be the way of the world at the moment. Why can't everyone just get along? That's the thing. But when she actively went out of her way and did this, and I remember this, Gal Gadot, she started getting death threats. Did Rachel Zegler go out of her way to say, stop sending death threats to my co-star? No. But when she was getting them, please stop sending me death threats. She is literally a hypocritical narcissist. And the sad thing is, she's only in her early 20s, and if this doesn't give her a kick up the ass to be like, basically, don't bring this into your promotion of movies, you'll do fine, she won't be around much longer.
During the promotion. The real issue, however, was that Rachel's tweet led to Gal receiving death threats. So many, in fact, that she had to be given personal security. Rachel destroyed any hopes the movie had left. And now, the internet was about to destroy her. Because before the movie could flop, her face already had. Edna Mode, Willy Wonka, The Little Lad, Violet, Lisa Rinna, Coconut Head, Beoshala, and the most accurate of all, Lord Farquaad. On Reddit, people stated, her eyes got beef, haven't made eye contact in years. Those eyes are drifting apart like continents. Soon they'll need a passport to meet. The hashtag #NotMySnowWhite went massive viral on Twitter, with posts like, why does Latina Snow White look like the long haul Roderick? Hashtag #NotMySnowWhite. Snow White versus evil queen who is jealous of her looks. With literally thousands of people just roasting her. They clipped her face from the movie and turned it into art like this, while explaining CGI dwarves were used instead of real actors due to Rachel being 5'2", making her not much taller than a little person. Users were thrilled that Lord Farquaad was finally back, and for the first time, people were rooting for the apple to win. Petitions to remove Rachel from the movie started popping up, with supporters calling her a nasty person, whilst editing pictures to turn the evil queen into Snow White. Fans disliked her so much because she has an ego the size of an elephant, but looks like Lord Farquaad's mom with the attitude of a whiny brat.
And
if you think she was the wrong choice for Snow White,
she has the ego of someone who's well, she thinks she's bigger than what she is. She thinks she's this global superstar, megastar. She's not. She's someone who's appeared in, a handful of films, and none of them were big box office successes. You had West Side Story, yeah, Spielberg film. But the thing is, though, it wasn't about her that made that film a hit. It wasn't. It's West Side Story. A film that has been out so many times, has won Oscars and everything else. It's not like, oh my god, look at this new star, she's in this film, yeah, what's it called? No, it's like West Side Story. And above all else, it's Steven Spielberg's West Side Story.
Like this, almost 10,000 people agreed. Things had gotten so bad, she was being stalked and receiving death threats. As Zegler shared, the backlash led to people standing outside her apartment, screaming profanities.
That's wrong, that is wrong.
But did she really deserve all this? And what did it do to her?
I think a lot of people are very mean, so when I do public appearances, I get very anxious. I had an anxiety attack on the plane ride here.
She first explained how intense the backlash was.
Pretty much I can't post a picture of myself on Twitter without a bunch of people telling me how ugly I am.
Almost
She's
quitting
not
social
ugly, we
media
know
because
that.
it sent her into depression.
So I'm very hesitant to share a lot of myself with the world these days. I'm trying to be less active and check less and scroll less and read less, mostly.
We all need to do that no matter what, not just her. Everyone needs to just stop scrolling, reading, going on social media. I've always said this and I'll always stand by it. Social media is the greatest thing ever invented, but also the worst thing ever invented. Because it has given out so much slop, so many bad things where people read it, oh, someone's saying a mean thing, and it can affect people mentally. You know, we're seeing it right here now. She's had this affected her. But, and this is a huge but, she brought most of this on herself. That is the problem. But she is now playing the victim. You know, did she make Snow White bomb? She was a part of it, yes. Biggest person involved, though, was Disney, because, again, Disney just wanted to make a quick buck, and no one wanted a remake of Snow White. Now, are we thinking that if they cast someone else in the role, it could have been better? Who knows? But I will say one thing, though. I do think it would have made a little bit more money if she didn't go online and started doing PR nightmares all over the place. Sadly, though, this is the problem with a lot of actors who think they're bigger than what they are. Rachel Zegler is a perfect example. She is one of the biggest people in that film who was like, I'm the boss. I do this, I do that. And when she did that interview saying, well, all his scenes could get cut. Haha, it's Hollywood, baby. Are you thinking that was a joke? Because that's not really a joke. The way you said it, you came across like, if I have my way, his scenes are going to get cut. I want all screen time. That's how that sounds. It's the narcissism coming out. We've seen it with a number of people in Hollywood, which we've covered on this channel. AH being the perfect example. She thinks she's better than she is. She's bigger than she is. She thinks that she deserves everything. And we are now seeing the younger generation, Zelina Vega, early 20s, people like her who are up and coming in the Hollywood industry, they're all going to be the same. They're all going to be like this. And that is technically going to kill Hollywood. Because everyone's going to be like, yeah, I don't want to listen to you. I don't want to see you because you said it's not for me. You said it's weird if you like the old one. The old one's rubbish, it's outdated, it's this, blah, blah, blah. Shut up, promote the film, and just say nice things about it. You are getting paid millions of dollars. If you don't like it, then you have to come out and say, I'm not promoting it. Like Jim Carrey did with Kick-Ass 2.
Because when I do look at things or read things on social media, it makes me upset. It makes me like a worse person, I think. It makes me, harbor a lot of feelings of guilt, doubt, anxiety, depression.
It got so bad, she even considered getting plastic surgery.
And also because I know how mean people get when like pictures of me surface on the internet. It's gotten to a point where I actually had the thought in my brain of what surgery and how much surgery do I have to get for people to find.
That by there is another example of the younger generation thinking, oh, what do I have to look like for people to accept me? That's another thing. Again, social media has done it. She's not an ugly girl. She's not. She is a pretty woman. She is. But obviously, she's going to be thinking now all of this. But again, no, the way I'm looking at this now, probably because we've dealt with people like this for a long time, is stop playing the victim. Stop playing the victim. You came out, and this is the reason why people are having a go at you. Because, well, you opened your mouth and said some dumb shit. You did. That's what it is. But we know how all of this goes. She's getting the brunt end of it because Disney are just like, oh, we had to send a PR out. We had to send a producer out. We had to do this. We had to curb her. We had to calm her down. But again, no, Disney have had the backlash as well because, well, they're losing money.
Finally stop calling me ugly on the internet.
And eventually, she started posting less and less.
I don't really like giving people an opportunity to use my content as a way to bring me down about things that I say and things that I do or the way that I look.
The hate reached a whole new level. All she wanted was for it to stop.
I can also be having the greatest time and simultaneously wishing people would stop sending me death threats. When I tell you that it's hard, I just mean to be inside my brain. That's hard. And I'm there 24/7. I can't get out of it.
She's just
pushed
playing the
Zegler
victim.
to her breaking point. People have no sympathy
I think
for
a
her.
lot of people
It's getting
are as
sick
well.
now. I don't know how much more I can take. It's haunting me. I cry every day. I just want it all to stop, she said. But sadly, not only was it not going to stop, it was about to get 100 times worse. Because when the movie was finally released, with a production budget of $270 million and $410 million in total after marketing costs, expectations were high. Although that didn't happen. It made just $43 million domestically and $44 million internationally in the first opening weekend, which dropped by 66% the following weekend, pulling in only $14.3 million. It needed $500 million just to break even, but made only $182 million. The movie reached just 1.6 stars on IMDb, making it the lowest rated film ever, and scored only 40% on Rotten Tomatoes. Meanwhile, dozens of TikToks showed how empty the theaters were. On Reddit, when asked about how the movie did, employees responded, "I didn't even know it was out in theaters." Very bad. Between
That's
the 4
mad.
showings we had yesterday, we did 8 people for it. So, who was to blame for all this? Well, of course, Rachel Zegler, right? Because she directed the film, wrote the script, styled her hair, and told the studio to spend $500 million on a remake no one asked for, right? No, Rachel had no fault in the film's failure.
No.
However, the saddest part is that Disney themselves started using her as a scapegoat.
Well, yeah, Disney would start using her as a scapegoat because, well, everything that she has said. We had to do a PR crisis with her. We had to send the producer out to tell her not to post things. Don't do this, don't do that. But, you know, Disney, they're the ones who cast her, you know? And everyone, see, the funny thing is, well, I'll say we got a little bit left of this, as you can see. A lot of people have been very vocal about Disney with this. So now seeing that, you know, you've got people saying, oh, well, it's Disney's fault. Well, yeah, it was, you know. But the thing is, though, everyone has told Disney exactly what they've done. They've been tagging Bob Iger and things. They've been tagging Disney, the cast members, directors, and everything. But the thing is, though, she's front and center. Disney will do this just to be like, well, we only did this. She's the one who went out and said it, not us.
Suddenly,
Scapegoat.
it wasn't Disney's movie anymore. It was Rachel Zegler's.
Rachel Zegler's Snow White is officially the worst movie of all time on IMDb, so this is her fault. Really, Snow White is bad because this is Zegler's movie and not Disney's movie. It's her movie apparently. Like bro, posts like these, the review bombing on IMDb, and everything else in between the belly buttons have all been putting blame on Zegler for how Snow White is performing.
Disney blatantly blamed Rachel for the failure, yet the real reason was this.
But the reason why Snow White is flopping at the box office is not because of Zegler, it's because of Disney. And what's stupid is that they aren't taking any accountability. Like I read this article where Disney was playing heavy damage control because insiders at Disney are using Zegler as a scapegoat. For example, yes, I agree, her saying that the original Snow White is weird probably wasn't the best PR move.
Which unsurprisingly led to even more trolling. She destroyed it, not Disney. It's Hollywood, baby. Zegler's acting was downright embarrassing, easily one of the worst performances I've seen. Disney got scammed, but nothing concluded again that the movie was already terrible to begin with.
However, this was all when Disney knew very well they just made a bad movie. And also the film had issues long before its release, such as the ballooning budget. There was an unclear marketing strat, and apparently this was all one person's fault. Because the reality is that the trailers, the marketing, the songs, and pretty much just the entire idea of a live-action remake made people not want to watch the movie.
To make matters worse, the film's producer's son stated,
This is what we were on
my
about.
dad, the producer of an enormous Disney IP with hundreds of millions on the line, had to fly across the country to reprimand his 20-year-old employee for dragging her personal politics into promoting the movie. She hijacked the conversation for her own immature desires, risking the work of thousands. Narcissism is not something to be coddled. I hate her comments and politics. It was awful. But completely blaming her is insane. Therefore, Joe Rogan said this.
Yeah.
But imagine you spend $250 million and you get some young girl and you don't kind of talk to her about like, hey, you know, don't get political. You're young. And I know you have opinions about things, but should be just about the movie.
Eventually coming to this conclusion.
So now they've put it all on her. Now they've failed. Here's what happened. She made the cardinal error of saying free Palestine on Twitter. So she could say all that men are bad and it's this and that, but once you do that, now they've put the entire weight of the failure upon her. When really, it's like making Jimmy Fallon apologize for doing a Chris Rock impression.
As a result, for the first time, Rachel started receiving some positive comments. I really don't like Rachel, but sending death threats and insults, that's just unnecessary.
It is. We've always been by that. No one deserves death threats. You shouldn't be saying it to anyone. You know, because we even said that with AH, Johnny Jeb, and all the other people we've covered on this channel. No one deserves them. I don't care who you support. No one deserves to be told all these horrible things. But like I say, you know, it's sad to see that, obviously with this, though, so many people know this has happened to.
You know, Rachel Zegler is a human. She's not perfect. She does things I think she shouldn't, and sometimes she says things she shouldn't. But nothing will ever convince me she's a bad person. No amount of hate will ever be justified against her. Now, it would be an understatement to say Rachel's mental health didn't take a hit. But after everything that's happened, it'll be interesting to see where her career goes from here.
Yeah, it will be. It's going to be a lot of stuff. But, you know, say we've done it on this channel so many times where we've seen people do things and say things and then all of a sudden it backfires on them. Which it did with her, you know, she started playing the victim. That's how a lot of people see it, myself included. Because she said and done stupid things. She brought that upon herself. You know, it's the best way to describe it. It is your words have consequences. You know, actions have consequences. This is what it is. You know, free speech. You can say what you want, but doesn't mean that you're free from consequences. And we all know just how sucky Disney is. We know. You know, Disney will do everything to make themselves a little bit of extra money. But if anything happens, they will literally put the blame on the stars or the people who wrote and directed or whatever. With Rachel Zegler, she said all this stupid stuff. And Disney, you know, if they had to hire a PR manager, they knew exactly what was going to happen. And they probably said in the back rooms, if it's a failure, we'll just blame her. Look what she's been saying. That's literally it. But guys, let us know down below what you think of this. Because, again, there's so many things going on here. Obviously, there is some good things to come out of it, but there's also a lot of bad things. But, again, she had a hand in destroying her career with this. Like and subscribe, folks, and I'll see you very next. I'll see you soon.